I felt myself grow dizzy. It was all too much. First, there was Stephen's change of appearance. Between his thick mustache and the weight he'd gained, he was almost unrecognizable to me now. Plus, I knew Stephen was from Tennessee. He talked to me about growing up in Cottonwood and attending White House High School. As far as I knew, he'd never even set foot in New Jersey. He'd promised me that he hadn't hurt Benjamin too badly, and that he'd drop Benjamin's stuff with him after he'd gotten out of jail. Had he been lying about that too? And why was Stephen upstairs, looking disheveled, with a woman half his age? Why was he calling me Maria? And why was my daughter addressing Frances as her mother? I landed against the carpet floor as shadows descended over my surroundings. When I awoke, it was daylight, and I was alone. Stephen had left me a note explaining that he'd dropped Rachel off at preschool, and that I should get some rest. I spent the morning finishing the process of cleaning up from the party. In contrast to the noise from last night, the house was silent, aside from the television, which played Stephen's channel of choice at a low volume. As I vacuumed the floor, I noticed the biography Stephen had been reading. I recognized the face displayed across the front cover. I'd been going to sleep next to it every night for the last few weeks. I flipped the book open and scanned its contents. As sheriff, Grover personally carried out the executions of 2 criminals. Grover took office in 1893 with the support of all states that had fought with the Confederacy in the Civil War, appointed no African Americans to civil service positions. The protection of civil rights had little significance to him. Grover believed that Chinese immigrants were incapable of assimilation into American society, went on to marry the same woman he'd once given presents to as a toddler. The book landed against the floor with a thud. This was the man Stephen had been obsessing over? Had he been intentionally changing his appearance to emulate him? No, that was too crazy. He wouldn't do something like that. Not the Stephen I knew. But was the Stephen I knew even real? A ringtone snapped me out of my panicked thoughts. It was Stephen's personal phone. He'd left it beneath a pillow on his couch. It displayed, "Incoming call, Frances Hawkins." When I tried to hear the voicemail that Frances left, Stephen's phone prompted me to enter a password. A few days ago, I'd never imagined wanting to discreetly access my boyfriend's phone. But now, I was dead set on getting to the bottom of whatever was happening. The phone rejected the digits of Stephen's birthday. I thought for a moment. Looking down at the book I'd dropped to the floor, I had an idea. I flipped open the biography and found the birth date of Stephen Grover Cleveland, March 18th, 1837. I entered 0318137, and the phone unlocked. The first thing I did was play back Frances's message. "Oh, Stephen, how I yearned for so long for your touch. I still think back on how much of a gentleman you've always been to me, from when I was a little girl, opening the presents you bought me, to when I was 18 and first felt the feeling of your lips against mine. I never should have broken things off with you and let you return to her. It meant so much to me that we were able to do what we did last night. She's suspicious, but it doesn't matter. We'll have her out of the way before long. She'll never understand the depth of our affection." I flung the phone against the floor. This can't be real. It can't be. Stephen wouldn't have left me for someone at the tail end of high school. My heart jolted as in the corner of my eye, I caught an image of a president who looked just like Stephen on the television screen. I turned up the volume as the cover of a new Grover Cleveland biography faded into live footage of 2 historians discussing it.
"What's remarkable to me,"
said the first,
is that, to this day, so many still refer to him as the honest president. That's something I was hoping to challenge in this book. Could you tell us, Professor Alexander,
said the other,
a little about why you think that nickname is inapplicable? Well, people first started using that term when presidential candidate Cleveland was accused of having fathered a child out of wedlock. Obviously, that was a bigger issue at the time than it would be today. But rather than denying the allegation as most expected, Cleveland fessed up to having engaged in illicit relations with the mother, Maria Halpin.
Maria? Is that why Stephen had been calling me that?
In Cleveland's version of events, Ms. Halpin was a presumptuous drunkard, and he was but one of many men who could have been the father. Cleveland supposedly claimed paternity only out of gentlemanly obligation when no one else would do so, and then assisted Ms. Halpin by providing child support.
Professor Alexander continued.
The public reacted positively to Cleveland's admission, and the scandal did not ultimately derail his presidential bid, but the reputation Cleveland accrued for honesty is misplaced. He omitted details that portrayed him in a less flattering light. And what might those be?
Asked the other man.
Well, first, Ms. Halpin wrote in a sworn statement that Cleveland had been violent and forceful with her regarding the act itself, and that he had threatened to ruin her if she complained of this to the authorities. Did she have any proof? No, but we know for a fact that soon after Miss Halpin gave birth, her son was taken away from her, and she was involuntarily admitted to an asylum under extremely suspicious circumstances. The child ultimately grew up without her. The public, meanwhile, largely rejected her version of events and forgot about the scandal.
The color drained from my face. My boyfriend had been calling me Maria, and I'd just learned that the child of the real Maria was taken from her. I took my keys and ran out to the car. The preschool administrators eyed me suspiciously as I entered the main office. I realized I looked a mess. I still wore my clothes from last night, and I hadn't as much as run a brush through my hair all morning.
Can I help you?
Asked the lady at the front desk. Yes, please, I need to see my daughter.
And may I ask what her name is?
Rachel Caulfield. She typed a few things into her computer and then eyed me quizzically.
Can I see some form of identification?
Sure. I produced my driver's license. She raised an eyebrow as she examined it.
Ma'am, I think you brought me the wrong card.
She handed it back to me. I gasped when I read Maria Halpin's name at the top. What? This can't be. This isn't mine.
Well,
said the woman.
How about you return here with the correct identification, and then I can bring your daughter out to you.
She gave me a polite smile. I drove home in a hurry. I searched everywhere for some form of identification, but everything I could think of, my birth certificate, my credit card, was gone. All I had was a driver's license that displayed another person's name. Gone, too, were all the pictures of me and Stephen, as well as any property belonging to me. I took a few deep breaths, trying to make some sense of what was happening. My mind settled as I listened to the tick of a clock and the low murmur of the television. Its screen displayed a middle-aged woman, now presenting about a book she wrote titled Ghosts in the White House. True evil never dies, said the woman. It gets reborn, and it transforms everything it touches in the process. Past, present, future. Nothing is safe from it. I turned off the television. I checked our shared computer. Stephen was already logged into his main social media accounts, and each one contained pictures of him embracing Frances. His Facebook profile picture was of him and Frances, holding Rachel between them. I scrolled back through his photos. I didn't recognize any of them, and they included a few apparent throwbacks to his youth in Cadwell, New Jersey. I searched Benjamin's full name. The first story that appeared was of him being found dead several months ago. He'd been shot in an unsolved homicide. The door opened. Francis entered, holding Rachel's hand, followed by Stephen. Francis and I exchanged a shocked look as I started to ask the young woman what she was doing with my boyfriend and my daughter. She pointed at me and screamed, "Someone's in here!" She turned to Stephen. "Please, keep her away from our daughter." Stephen burst past her and shoved me to the ground.
Take Ruth out of here,
He yelled. Francis hurried outside with my daughter. "Stephen, why?" I whimpered as Stephen's strong grip held me in place. "Why are you doing this to me?"
Look, whoever you are, there are two ways this can end.
Said Stephen through gritted teeth.
You leave voluntarily, or I call for backup to have you removed from my house.
I made an anguished cry as I tried futilely to push his large form off of me. "This is our house, Stephen. Why are you pretending not to know who I am?"
You need help,
Said Stephen.
and I'm going to see to it that you get it.
"Whatever you're trying to do, it won't work. I'll tell the truth. I know you're not from New Jersey. I know what you really did to Benjamin. And I know that Rachel is my daughter." Stephen's face settled into a smug smile.
Now, Sandra, who's going to believe you over me?
What?
I said, I'm going to see to it that you get the help you need.
Stephen let go, leaving me on the floor.
Just sit tight. I'll arrange for that help to arrive.
I've been left to my own devices, while deputies and nurses have gathered around an ambulance outside. They're rolling a stretcher out right now. I wrote all this down in the hopes that somebody, somewhere, can make sense of what's happening to me. I don't know exactly where they plan on taking me, but I do know that it's a place I won't be leaving anytime soon. I open the window and listen to the discussion outside. Stephen is telling the others.
She's not a threat to herself, she's just confused.
Closer to the window, Francis and Rachel sit together by a tree. "That lady will leave us alone soon. You don't have to worry, Ruth. It'll just be you, me, and your father," says Francis. "Rachel." Rachel's head turns. There's a hint of recognition. She starts to form a word. The same word I've heard her say many times before. "Mama." But before she can do so, Francis grabs her and drags her away. Stephen knocks at the door.
Ma'am, please step out peacefully. I only want to help you. It's the gentlemanly thing to do.